Which is also very encouraging. So as he said, I think to get us in the frame of mind as we emerge possibly from this crisis, what I've tried to do over the next 10 to 15 minutes is really just talk through a few trends or drivers to trends that we are seeing driving the business today. And all of you here in the room, I'm sure, are experiencing some of this, have your experiences. The idea is to sort of kick off this discussion with some movement that we are seeing. I think as this crisis, if I can call it that, unfolded, we've seen companies go through 4 stages. Right? There has been, of course, as things started immediately, there was the survival phase. And honest answer is there are some of us who are still there. So there was a survival phase, cash conservation, cash was king, trying to make sure that logistics were up, consumers were back, safety was in. We were able to just, minimize and sustain. From there, we moved into the adapt phase, realized that this is not going away in a hurry. It's going to be here. We're going to have to fix this, live with this, operate in this new environment, and revive some bit of the business. Right? I think most of us, most retailers have moved on from here and have come into what we'd call now the revive or the resurge phase. Right? Demand has come back. This Diwali, as I hear speaking to a lot of you as well today and clients outside, has been great. Demand is on a revival. Business is on a revival both physically as well as digitally. And the question is, are we able to make the most of it? And that's the question that's doing most people to say that as we went into this, we did a lot of cut downs. We removed people, we removed overheads, we cut out rentals, we shut down properties. We solidified our P&L and balance sheet to come to a good position. But as we step up for growth, how do we get the growth back? What do we put back in? Should we put everything into digital? Should we put associates back into stores? Should we start growing physical stores? There is an opportunity at low rentals. Should we go get that? Where do we really go for growth? Where is the next investment going to come? And I think that's the question that's on a lot of our minds. So what we thought to do is just look at the forces that are driving the change that can maybe help us to look at how things are evolving and discuss and talk about where the investment should be going. So I think like for any other time period, technology, demography, geopolitical changes, ESG, big drivers to all of the changes that we are seeing. But what's different right now? I think when we look at from a technology standpoint, I've been talking about technology for the last 20 years probably. I think the big difference simply is the maturity of the penetration, the affordability, and simply the immersion of it from very large parts or very large swaths of organizations, which were earlier concentrated into a few people or few organizations who were leading this roost. I can tell you as a professional services or consulting services firm, our technology business has never been better. Right? There is across the board, not just from the front end of digital, but across the board, thinking about consumers, thinking about the organization, thinking about the supply chain, everything is you're trying to enable through technology. And this is not just for online e-commerce, which of course is going through, but also very much for physical stores and physical interaction. And we'll talk about this a little bit more. Right? Demography, I think, I would say while India has been on the good side of the demographic dividend again for several years, what has happened over the last 18, 24 months is that retailers have realized or have seen a lot more of these millennials or Gen Z or younger shoppers coming into stores and making themselves or expresses themselves as shoppers for others as well as for themselves, right? Whether it's through digital channels, whether it's through physical channels. They have been the primary customers because they were the ones who possibly had the consumption occasions or were able to bring back consumption occasions faster. And that drove a lot of retailers to think, do we really have the assortment in the portfolio to serve them? Do we really have what it takes as customer service or experience to drive with these folks for business? Or are we still selling to the previous generation, so to say? Of course, it has employment uncertainty, income uncertainty, the inequality growth. Lots of them have driven out this change of how people will spend, whether it's sensitivity, whether it's to say, yes, we'll downtrade to value, whether it's to say, okay, I have the money, I have the saving, I'm not going out this year, let me go experiment, let me go spend all my money. So there is extreme spectrums, both visible very clearly in our demography. I think ESG again is is a space close to my heart, I would say. And I have been saying on this forum that India is not getting there, right? And I would say this year, this is the first year that I've seen environmental impact, societal impact, coming it into Indian mainstream business in a significant way. I would still say it's being driven more by investors and by regulation than by consumers. Consumers are yet, and so we do this consumer insight survey year on year, or rather 6 months, across a very large swath of customers across a set of countries. India continues to lag on consumers saying we are making sustainable choices and on being willing to pay a premium. So yes, there is a lot of them who are willing to say that yes, we want to make conscious choices, but price over sustainability, price any day right now, right? However, this is the first year I would say I'm confident to say this will change. This will change in the near future. This will change over the next few years. Consumers are willing to go out there, look at that. They are becoming more and more aware, and they will drive this change. However, right now, it's investors and regulators driving the change. And of course, complex geopolitical dynamics, the climate politics itself is going on right now, which will drive where what gets manufactured, who has enough credits available or not to be able to do some of this. Along with, there was a start of this pandemic that all of us saw a shunning of China sourcing. I would hazard to say we are back to similar, if not higher levels of sourcing from China today. Right? However, there has been many a shift caused in the middle. So we'll look at some of these and discuss in detail. But I think given that, what has it evolved? What has it driven as evolution? Consumers, I think we spoke about more responsible consumption, and I would say three things here, right? One is clearly more digital. All of us are aware of that, built through a lot more digital, a lot more driven by sustainable choices, not as much as I would like in India, but driven by sustainable choices, and a lot more health conscious, right? Health consciousness and awareness. And I'll build through on that. So while we see clearly online retail, digital wallets, paid media, online education, across the board, just more digital consumption, right? And what is most interesting, again, going back to our survey, was that this is the first, in June of 2021, what we saw is the increase in daily digital purchase, right? So daily shopping online is something that you must talk about significantly, right? So there is a significant amount of evolution there. But does that mean that the consumer across, and I just had a very interesting conversation with Mr. Namal, and interesting nugget, with your permission, I'll share, to say that the larger chunk of India, there is still 90% of people who are not shopping online. Right? They are consuming content. They're driven by digital. They are consuming a lot of pieces out there, but they're still not shopping. So this market's only going to grow and build faster. And the other big piece, health consciousness, health, safety, hygiene. Hygiene was completely there in the beginning, moving slowly towards the desire to eat good, look good, feel good. Right? It has continued. It was a trend prior to COVID. It has accelerated. Right? Whether it's immunity supplement consumption, whether it is fitness and fitness clothing, it is across the board. There is a clear rise in this. And I think, as I spoke about, there is consumers globally significantly making more sustainable choices. India moving there slowly. Right? The second piece, if we look at from a market evolution standpoint, right? When we look at market evolution, I think the big story is coming out of tier 3, tier 4 cities, right? If you look at digital, the bottom left-hand chart, the online growth is clearly being driven, and of course, they're coming from smaller bases, but not really so. Tier 2, tier 3 is what's driving the digital growth of this country in very, very significant ways. And I would have to say, so of course, population growth is faster in these cities, faster rate of e-commerce adoption from whatever has been built out. The investments are now going into these cities in much larger ways. From whatever plans of expansion we've read for most retailers in the country, most declared numbers have been much larger in tier 3, tier 4 cities. And I think the entire B2B ecosystem development, the B2B commerce development, is finally getting an assortment into the hands of retailers in these cities which is further driving up demand, further driving up income in the hands of these cities and driving back to the business. So clearly, they will, we see this as a big driver of demand into the near future. Right? It's not just, well, of course, tier one is still continuing to be large. I think from a channel standpoint, while we speak about digital, the two pieces that have struck us this year, one is simply D2C. Right? And I think while there is a lot of conversation around it, and there is a lot of genuine investment this year into it, the surprising thing to me is that most of the big companies seem to be missing this bus. Right? They're very interested in it, but not there yet. Globally, if you look at, funding has been upwards of $30 billion, 20 plus unicorns already formed, very large number of D2C brands. India as well. I mean, you have close to 600 plus brands, 3 unicorns already. I would hazard to say 3 to 4 more soonicorns in the pipeline. Funding has already been $2.5 billion upwards. There is clearly significant customer engagement. Consumers want to talk directly. They want to know about the brands. They are not being able to find this. And this is sort of both competitive as well as an opportunity for retailers and consumer companies. Right? There is consumers clearly desiring to speak more directly and wanting to interact, wanting to understand what companies are doing and being able to build this too. I mean, we'll talk about this more. I think it's a very, very interesting, very, very large trend that's being spoken about. I think the other big one, which again gets spoken about a lot, is social commerce. Right? And this is again, I would call out as one of the big trends that we've seen, which will evolve over the next 5 years. We are seeing almost close to 18-20 billion of social commerce coming into play. And the other thing to highlight here is, again, if you look at the chart on the right side top, it's the tier 2, tier 3 that will drive this business. Right? The social commerce percentages already are not coming from tier 1. Even as compared to what you see large horizontals, there is a 20 percentage point differential to the Meeshos and the Trells of the world. Right? The social commerce is being driven in the tier 2, tier 3 markets. Large captive MSME base already in place. There's a lot of funding being secured, investments going in. This is something we'll see growing over the next couple of years as well, fairly significantly. I think while the front end is evolving, the back end is also evolving dramatically. So the two places where I would say back end evolution is happening, one is of course simply supply chain certainty. Right? There is a huge challenge in supply chain certainty that continues to remain, whether it's in terms of costs, whether it's in terms of simply container availability and driving up freight rates, whether it's in terms of making sure that you have the right supply base secured in case a country goes into lockdown or starts to impose borders. But also as much investment is going in from the large retailers into sustainable sourcing. Brands like H&M and Zara have declared $1 billion plus plans of sustainable sourcing initiatives across the board globally. And I think this is again something which will translate into consumer choices and will translate into how companies see and position themselves with a purpose. And I'm hoping that at the start of the pandemic, again, there was a lot of conversation around purpose. There was a lot of conversation around making the right choices for yourself, for Mother Nature, for organizations, for employees. Has died down slowly as we continue to come back to profit. I'm hoping some of this will sort of back and come through. I think the other piece is the entire competitive evolution. Right? What we are seeing is, and especially over the last 18 months, either you had the capital or you didn't. If you did, you've gone after creating an ecosystem and literally gone after everything. Right? We've seen it globally with Amazon trying to go. So it is share of wallet of a consumer. There is very little to do with share of wallet in a category. You're going after a consumer and saying, now that I'm interacting with them, I have access to them. I know what they consume, how they consume, what are they doing with their time. I want to go after their wallet share. I want to go after their time share. I want to go and build across. So you're building an ecosystem that is literally across domains and areas, and industry lines and boundaries are blurring very significantly. And this is very important for retailers, especially in a manner because retail stores used to be an ecosystem. They still are. When you walk into a store, you're looking at part entertainment, you're looking at part consumption, you're looking at buying pieces that you want, you're looking at social interaction. And these are ecosystems that are being built online today. So competition is evolving in a very, very significant way. And of course, data is driving a lot of this. And I think that's the place where most physical retailers are still, if I can say, struggling to say, how do we get this data to speak to us? How do we get this to talk to consumers back? The quantum that the online players have is dramatic and are using it much better in that group. I think the last piece, as you're dealing with all of these different types of evolution, ultimately you need the organization that will drive it, right? The people that will drive this business and get you there. But when you look at the people who are, working in these organizations, whether it's because of the income inequality that they are seeing, and this year has seen 2 or 3 trillionaires come into play, or multi-hundred billionaires come into play, that, apart from other things, has increased, or has the income inequality has become stark, right? Just the desire to continue to work from home, save yourself, be healthy, the different medical emergencies people have gone through. There is a lot of, and the interactions at home, there has been a lot of deterioration in mental health. Uncertainty of employment continues to remain. The great resignation, as they call it, is currently underway. In all of this, the experience that you're looking to provide, the way you're looking to compete with competition, the way you're looking to compete with market and channel, this is the critical piece. These are the people who will make that happen. But I think our company is thinking enough about this, right? Enough of what will stem and motivate people, what will get them to engage in conversations with consumers, is something we would say is evolving very, very fast as well, and will continue to evolve, and it should be top of mind for a lot of people. So I think just ending up with a small piece, and happy to have more conversation around this, but as we are seeing people deal with these evolutions and build this through, I think the big challenge that people have is people are moving behind a trend, but not necessarily sticking to what the authenticity of their identity is. And I think that's a critical piece of what is my proposition, what is my identity, why do I have a right to win in this space and in this market. So we believe strongly that as you look at this, as you look at these principles, keep your authentic identity as a guiding principle, whether you go into digital, whether you go into physical, and there is opportunity in this land everywhere. And I will, again, you look some of those numbers, we are about $1 trillion business, adding about 100 billion every year. The largest retailer in this country is still less than 10 billion. There is opportunity for everybody and in every direction, whether it's physical, whether it's digital, there is opportunity in every direction. So question is really, what is your reason to be bought? Right? What is your identity? What's in principle? Build the scenarios, build the ecosystem, and continue to keep ESG at the center of your thinking. So that's probably it, friends. Happy to have and continue this conversation. Hope this kicks off a reasonable discussion. Thank you.